Keep opening widely, otherwise there will be no giving up for the internal. The maintaining of the mind hasn't been given up. Maintaining and sustaining is called no giving up for the internal phenomena. Just open up widely in the way that disengage from disengaging itself without grasping for the non-attachment itself. In this way, there will be giving up, the giving up itself, internally and externally. It is not about a pillar, to hold on a pillar. This is not the subject of the shell. Seeking for somewhere to hold on to is not the subject of a buffalo. To use a rope to hold on a pillar. This is the essence of the cutting deluded knowing. It's not holding on, it's not maintaining. Everything is mine. Everything is not attached to the non-attachment itself. Let's conclude simultaneously for the internal and the external. Step back. Disengage from disengaging itself, uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. Let's be thorough. Not attached to the non-attachment itself simultaneously. For the internal and the external. This is not about holding on to a pillar. Nothing is within anything. Nothing is within the pillar. No is not no itself. Diligently use the reminder of the purification. When terminators purify themselves, it will purify everything automatically. Let's conclude the conclusion itself. The reminder gives ending to itself. It purifies itself. Just recall it. They are the sentences that purify themselves, terminologies that purify themselves. The reminder that cuts through itself. It will not become realm of existence. And use it for the internal and the external simultaneously. For everything uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, for example. For everything uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, not attached to the non-attachment itself. Remind oneself is beyond the brightness shining through the mind. Otherwise, there will be the habits of the familiarity, always being down, always sinking. Something within the sluggishness, sinking within emotions and feelings, states of mind, sinking within seeing and knowing. This is the habits of the delusive attachment that overlaying the body and the mind. This is called the Samudhaya of the habits, which is the suffering within itself. It is the samsara within the habits itself. So remind oneself well. The essence of cut through the cutting itself has to be recalled constantly. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, not attached to the non-attachment itself. This is the essence of cutting through the cutting itself. The essence of the enlightenment. Cut through the cutting itself is not about cutting something. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. It is the purification within the uninvolvement itself. Mind from mind itself. This is the cutting within the non-attachment itself. This is called cut through the cutting itself, actually. Let's not be sunken in any state of mind or maintaining any state of mind, because it's going to be realm of existence that always continue as such. Without the reminder, you will just maintain and sink in the states of mind as a habit. Sinking within, looking, seeing, and knowing within the body and the mind, within all things. This is a habit of realm of existence. It is the Samudhaya of the habits of the suffering within the habits, causes of suffering within the habits, sinking. Any emotions are being sunken, any states of mind are being sunken, are maintained. Maintaining of feelings, looking, seeing, and knowing the mind, maintaining perceptions and anything whatsoever is called maintaining the sufferings. Is the habits of the suffering. Open up completely, child. Keep on. Then it will purify the grasping minds, grasping for the body or the mind, feeling thought recalls, which has been grasping for. Just open up widely, they will be purified automatically and continuously. Let's make a conclusion well with the essence of cut through the cutting itself. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself simultaneously, internally and externally. Not attached even to the non-attachment itself simultaneously with everything. Remind that which is on the enlightenment, enable to end. Otherwise, one's habits will just continue in seeing and knowing and recalling and interpreting on and on in its habits. This is samsara, is the habits of samsara, is always be carried on. Use the reminder that enable to cut through the cutting itself, that enable to end within itself, so that it will enable to cut through the cycle of the Vedana of feelings. We cut through the suffering within the mind. Otherwise, one will just continue like that on and on. Step back constantly. Disengage from disengaging itself. Otherwise, the desire and delusion always be off-sided. The delusion always projecting forward, always soaring. This is the desire that is off-sided. Step back, disengage from disengaging itself, that is, cut through the cutting itself. This is the reminder of the cutting within itself. Otherwise, no one will help anyone, possibly. One must help oneself. Don't blindly teach anyone forward with the desire within the teaching, within the listening from the audience. There is just delusion moving forward in such a way, the desire projecting onwards in such a way. If you give something that it gives ending, it will end. If not, it will not end. Not attached to the non-attachment itself, child. There is no need to try to not attach to anything. Trying to not attach is the desire within it. Not attached to the non-attachment itself gives ending to the not attached or the attempt to not attach. Mind from mind itself gives ending to the attempt to disengage. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, still involved within the uninvolvement itself. So there must be a step back to uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. then it will give ending to both involvement or uninvolvement, to the attempt. This is the reminder that purifies itself, the recalls that purify themselves. This is not to recall anything all over. It must purify itself. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself is the reminder that purifies itself, the recalls that purifies itself, the ending that ends within itself. There is no need to go around to waste the time. This is the belief values that don't purify themselves. It becomes samsara immediately. Thinking in this way and that way is called belief values, which is samsara within itself. It has no purification in itself. It's always being carried on as samsara, becoming science, becoming subjects and art. This is the delusion within themselves, within the subject, science and art. This is all about samsara, child. They must purify themselves, giving ending within themselves. All these arts, subjects and science, the essence of cutting within itself must be direct. Otherwise, there will be desire, delusion, attempting to cut. It creates troublesome. Cut through the cutting itself will not give any trouble there. Attempting to cut is the troublesome itself, is the troublemaker itself. Because it will not cut through itself. Therefore, be thorough. The essence that is given is all about cut through the cutting itself. Life is always be off-sided all the time. Step back, disengage from disengaging itself. There is no need to find a refuge anywhere. Cut through the cutting itself, seize the seizing itself, the same essence as the Buddhas and the Arahants. Let there be the same essence. The more seeking, there will be the desire within the seeking itself. Every day, every time, always restless, concerns, worries. This is coming from the desire that is carried on forward, projecting forward. So cut through the cutting itself. No need to find someone to help solve anything within oneself. Step back, disengage from disengaging itself, uninvolved within the uninvolvement itself. Don't proceed within the way of involvement or uninvolvement. Disengage or not disengaging. Step back, disengage from disengaging itself constantly. Don't be obsessed with significance and meanings, pushing forward in such a way with the desire. No grasping for the non-grasping itself, not attached to the non-attachment itself. Disengage from disengaging itself, not attached even to the non-attachment itself.